that was an interesting book. What's up, everybody? My name is Rare, or we're just gonna call myself R for now. Before any of you make fun of me, I am aware that I have this big A glare on my glasses, and that my audio is not the best, but this is a video about books, and I would be ashamed to wear contacts instead of wearing my glasses as I read books, because for all those book nerds out there, we sure love our glasses. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about this book. I realize there are not a lot of people that talk about these books, so I wanted to talk about them. This book is The Husky and His White Cat Shizun by, forgive me for butchering your name, by Robabuchiro. Forgive my roll of the tongue. Also known by the alias of Meat Bun Does Not Eat Meat. And also, for those who clearly saw my hand moving to the right, I am in fact using notes to talk about the informational bits of this video. Anyway, so we're talking about the basics here. This is an English translated novel, so this will be a spoiler-free review of this first volume. Not all of them. I haven't read all of them. Of the first volume. So, The Husky and His White Cat Shizun is an English translated novel coming from Seven Seas Entertainment. You usually know that books are from this publisher just by that little symbol there that you find on these books. Seven Seas Entertainment is a publisher that is known for bringing stories around the world to English reading exclusive audiences. This usually means books that were originally Chinese, books that were originally Japanese, Korean. Basically, think of anything that wasn't necessarily at first in English. This is a renowned publisher for that. This author is responsible for many other works in the genre. Two of them are also known as the Case File Compendium and Remnants of Filth. It is rated for matured audiences, and that rating is deserved. Don't give this to small children. All this information can be found on the book itself. So if you found this book in a bookstore, Barnes & Noble, wherever you have this book, you'll be able to find all that right here. As for what type of book it is, before we go any further, if you've seen this book and you want to know, should I read this book? This is what we like to call a DANMEI book. I don't know if I said that right. DANMEI. That is the genre of this book. By definition, you can find this definition on the Seven Seas Entertainment website. I'm going to read it verbatim right here in front of you. It says this: a DANMEI novel. This novel. Novels like this. It is a Chinese fiction genre focused on romanticized tales of love attraction between men similar to BL or boys love from Japan. So if you're into BL from Japan, you're probably going to be into this. I am also going to leave the link to the website, to Seven Seas Entertainment, in the description below this video, because it also has a lot of information on there as well. Now you know what kind of book this is. If this isn't your cup of tea, you could leave. You don't have to stay. You also don't have to read this. If it's not your cup of tea, you don't have to. You can leave. Or, if you don't know what this is and you're interested, we welcome you. I'll try not to scare you off. Moving on. This is a nice book. I just want to talk about the product first. If you have never handled this before, if you've never been to a bookstore and actually seen this physically, or if you have, you know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't, I'm going to take out my nifty little Pokemon card bookmark. If you have not, you will notice that it's quite a nice book. First off, the art. The art on this book is very beautiful. If you buy this book, congratulations, you have bought a picture book. That's right, there are pictures in this book. There's not many. I'm not gonna punk you and say it's more of a comic than a book. It is mostly a book. There aren't very many pictures in here at all. I would say maybe 5. I'm not sure. I'd have to count that more specifically for you guys. But there are pictures in here, so congratulations, you have bought yourself a picture book. And all the pictures are beautiful. The cover is spot gloss with flaps at the front and the back. So if you are a fan of flaps, that is what you're going to get. It is also not hardcover. There are no hardcovers here, so don't punk yourself with that. If you like hardcovers, this is not the book for you. It is printed fairly large, as in the words are the DANMEI. They're big enough. The words are big enough for you. At the end of the book, there is an index that talks about each of the characters, who the characters are, their associations, the weapons that they have, and the many locations of the book. You can find that if you have this book, there'll be like the brown tab sections at the end. Past the index is a very, very, very small pronunciation guide. Just past that is also a glossary. So if you are unfamiliar with this genre, if you are unfamiliar about if you're unfamiliar about any Chinese traditions, sayings, some of the things that come in this novel, innuendos, if there are some things that don't really make sense, they're in the back here, terms that you wouldn't know. This book does a good job putting in notes in the middle of chapters as well. So you don't always have to go back to the glossary if it's something a little bit more specific to that time. Well, and that's about it for the product and the general description of what this book is. For those of you who do know nothing about this book, it is about these two men on the cover. If any of you are more experienced and have read Scum Villain Self-Saving System, I believe. I would just call it Scumbag System because it has the longest title in existence. But if any of you have read Scumbag System, then this has a very similar premise. So what's going on here is, of course, there are two men. Two men here. This one, the one dressed in black, we're gonna call him an evil emperor in his original timeline. He spiraled into darkness and anger, and eventually ends up basically killing everybody that he cares about, and himself. When he wakes up, after he is dead, he realizes that he is alive again, but as a small teenager. A teenager, still under the tutelage of his master, who is the guy on the left. The main characters are as follows. The guy who, the emperor, previous emperor, hails by Morun, and Chiwani, who is the guy on the white. Those two are the main characters. In terms of the story, it said that this was spoiler free, so I will not mention any particular story beats. But I will say this book is indeed filled with a lot of anger, badly suppressed emotions, and a whole ton of misunderstandings. This is just the beginning to quite a long series. I believe there's supposed to be 8 of these that come out. So this first one, their relationship is really, really rough. That is all I've got to say. I wouldn't read this with the intent to see much cute romance in this one. You're gonna hit a hard miss if that's what you expect to find in here. I enjoyed it. That is what I will say. I enjoyed this book. I've read books like this before. I will also be writing reviews on them and posting them on here as well. And this one, I will say, was certainly entertaining. I did not expect what happened in this book to happen. Like, this book does not slow down. It's just things happening over and over and over and over. Misunderstanding after misunderstanding. People just being hurt all the time. That is kind of the essence of this first book. Are people that are trying to understand their feelings, and it's not working very well. But if you enjoy that sort of thing, go for it. I would say my first impression of this book, the first chapter, if you are not too into spicy things, as I should say, this one might be too spicy for you. Not in the fact that things happen in this book, but the language and the implications and the innuendos. There's a lot in this book, more than I have read in other books about stuff like that. My favorite line in this book is on page 240, and it simply goes, "I believe you," said Chuwani. So, favorite line. My favorite chapter was chapter 40, and that's towards the end of this book. Um, the only thing I can really say about chapter 40 is that it's funny. It's so far into the book that I'm not going to say anything about it. But speaking of that, if you are looking for something more funny, like if you are looking forward to humor, you'll probably find it in this book. I did have some chuckles. I did smirk a couple of times. I had fun reading this book. My recommendations. If this is your first time with a DANMEI novel, I'm so sorry for my nose. If this is your first time with the DANMEI novel, I'm gonna let you straight say this. If this is your first time, I don't think I would necessarily recommend this for your first DANMEI novel. For multiple reasons. This might be a little bit much. It's kind of like if you were to introduce someone to anime and like the first anime you showed them was like High School DxD or Boku no Pico. Like, I don't know if you should show them this one first. I don't know if you should read this first. If you just want to jump straight into it, if you don't care, I guess I should say, go for it. In terms of first timers, I would say exercise a little bit more caution. There are other danmeis out there, ones that are a lot softer, a lot sweeter. Aren't this book? That I would probably recommend more to first timers than this one. I feel like this has a lot of potential to scare first timers off. That being said, if you are more experienced, if you are a danmei connoisseur, you like these types of books. If you just like Scumville and Self-Saving System, I was just talking about that, the one that is very similar to. It's basically Scumbag System without transmigration. That is literally what this book is. If you're more experienced, I would give this one a go. I would give this one a go if, here's a little caution, basically for everybody, but I would give this one a go, except, kind of a disclaimer here, except if you have troubles with anything resembling dubious consent. That, I would say that is one of the biggest themes actually in this first one. I already mentioned it once, but the evil emperor was evil. He was not a very good guy. So, if you don't really care about that kind of stuff, if you like that kind of stuff, whatever, I'm just throwing it out there. If you have problems or issues or anything with anything resembling dubious consent, probably don't read this one. Probably pick up something nicer, like Heaven Official's Blessing. Don't read this one. I have 3 ratings for this book. We've got first on the romantic scale. Well, when I say romantic, I'm talking like sweet, kind, lovey-dovey, stuff like that. Romantic, I would give this a 3 out of 10. There's not a lot of fluffy, nice, happy, romantic things that happen in here. There are some, and those are very rewarding moments. I do like those moments. They're really cute. But they're kind of few and far in between the spicy meter. On the spicy meter, I give this one a 6 out of 10 for different reasons. Because even though it's not very sweet, there's still a lot of interesting things that happen in here. Overall, though, in terms of the plot, the characters, my enjoyment, I would give this one probably... My brain says 7 out of 10, so we're gonna go with that. I give Husky and Spycat Shizun Volume 1 a 7 out of 10. Now, just to let you guys know, I will be reading all the rest of them. Those, however, will not be spoiler free because obviously we have the ones before it, but it would also just be a lot more entertaining to talk about them if I could actually talk about what happened in them. But for the sake of just this, in this first one, I wanted to give a spoiler-free review of this first book in general, because I feel like there's a big community of people that read these types of books, but I don't see a lot of people talking about them. So I wanted to talk about it, to help people like me and help people like you, for when they're trying to pick some of these up and find some enjoyment, that they might have a little bit more guidance on what they would like to read. Thank you guys for watching. We're going to call this Rare's Reading Refuge over here, and we're going to review some more of these. Again, thank you guys for being here. If you have any other questions about this novel, you would like to see a more detailed description of the first one that includes spoilers, let me know. I'll be reading the second one soon. I will be reading the second one so that I can post a more in-depth review of that. If you would like to see more of me, I do stream using this same name on Twitch. I stream Honkai Star Rail throughout the week if you would like to see more of me. But as of this, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.